Michelle Beck is someone that we're going to ask her about, the benefits of the program that she's working with at the Epic Theater Ensemble and what it means to be a young person seeking to develop their talent or discover their skills. And, we're going to talk about a lot of different things, including, what happened here with some situations that led her to choosing that she wants to be involved with helping young people discover their talents and find their voices. So before we get into our guest and have her on, we're going to talk a little bit about Mount Vernon. And for many that are watching online and people that have um, been following my beloved city, on Monday, the state controller of New York released a report that concluded an audit that concluded that the former controller, Deborah Reynolds, um, executed 170 million. I'm going to say that again. The former controller of Mount Vernon, Deborah Reynolds, between January of 2018 and 2019, um, the controller executed 170 million in unauthorized electronic transactions. Now I know, um, credit card companies that flag suspicious activity on credit cards for far less amounts. And for many of you that have followed Mount Vernon and have watched the drama unfold, and it really was drama, much of which was, in my opinion, unnecessary drama. It was a distraction from obviously the financial abuse that was going on. And you saw a variety of characters just completely ignore and just dismiss Mount Vernon's claims from the time when I was mayor in office, and they just kind of characterize it as, this guy's making it up. It's all political. Meanwhile, the state controller concluded, as a matter of fact, that I was right and that there are deep financial issues with the city that could have been, in my opinion, should have been avoided. And I will say that I have not completed my review of the audit. It's been somewhat traumatic because when I go back in time and I think about some of the situations where, the police department or the fire department or public works literally ran out of gas, or when the garbage trucks broke down and one ran into a resident's home and the garbage trucks were repossessed because we could not pay the bill, and the city was without trash collection for days, and I was told it was political and it did not matter despite having court orders and all sorts of, valid authorities as the mayor of the city. It's really frustrating to read and see that the people that we were counting on to, do their job and hold the former controller accountable, they chose not to. They chose to say and shrug their shoulders, it's political, who cares? Meanwhile, they want to chant Black Lives Matter. Meanwhile, they fundamentally acted in a way as if Black lives never mattered. So I just say that I'm really holding back how I really feel. I'm just sharing that I am a bit I feel exonerated and vindicated with the report, but it is somewhat traumatic to revisit some of these episodes and just live through the reality that we're reading about. So I'll talk a little bit about just one more example, and this ties into our guest who's on the line. There was a young man who was, obviously failed by the system. And I recall our police department, when I was, mayor, we took a position of compassion when it came to handling people that we knew were, not mentally stable. And we went out of our way to try and identify them, try to work with families, work with nonprofits, and we tried to, direct them toward funding to get help. And there's this one person that his name escapes me right now, but he truly needed help. He needed social services. and the former controller denied every payment that we could make to try and help a person like him. And what wound up happening was he got flushed down the toilet. He got set in the street and just without any help and service, and he just started committing small crimes because he wanted to get off the street and get into a situation where he could finally get some help. And then with bail reform, with what a broken system that is, they kept letting him out. And he did more crimes and worse crimes and finally, set homes on fire. And the police knew that this guy just needed mental help, and it was so much more affordable to help him either with mental services or to try and put him in some kind of program. And this is why, programs, especially for the arts, are so important because when you step back and look at our young people, they need a place. And they need a place where they can discover and learn about themselves, or they need a place where they can get help. So on the line, I have Michelle Beck, the extraordinaire, someone who is busy making big things happen on HBO and HBO Max, but still finding time to give back. Thank you, Michelle Beck, for joining us and asking the question of what happened here. What's going on with the arts and after school programs?
Hi, how are you? It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you for joining us. And Michelle, before we get into your journey to the Epic Theater Ensemble,
Mhm.
and can you tell us about what the Epic Theater Ensemble is, what it does, who it serves?
Absolutely. Epic Theater Ensemble is an arts organization that does social justice theater and film with students in Title I schools. And Title I schools are the most under-resourced schools in New York City.
And tell me about, the underserved. You're a person that obviously has accomplished. You're choosing to go back and give back. And in Mount Vernon, we're no stranger to A-listers coming back to give back like Denzel Washington. So
Right,
I
exactly.
so I'm curious as to, who I'm curious, but we're gonna have to hold that question to when we get back from break. We're gonna find out who is Michelle Beck and why she's giving back with the Epic Theater Ensemble. Don't change that dial. Stay tuned. What's up, Minister Tyson? How y'all doing over there on Instagram land and on Facebook? I see you guys and YouTube. How you guys doing out there? Minister Tyson, did you see that audit report? Isn't that crazy? $170 million, not 17,000, not 17 million. 170 million, 170 million in unauthorized transactions. You have got to be kidding me. Like, what do you have to say about this? I want to know what you have to say. For those that are watching on Facebook and YouTube, I need to know. And the next question I have is, what should we do? I mean, oh man, there's so many things that I can say, but I'm gonna take it one step at a time. It's hard to read that and know that the state simply just watched. They just said, we don't care. Who cares, right? It's what they said. They shrugged their shoulders, guys. Like like come on. I'm really trying to figure out like what you know what was their rationale, right? What was the rationale of the state to basically say nothing mattered in Mount Vernon? It didn't matter that the police didn't have gas, fire didn't have gas, DPW didn't have garbage trucks. It didn't matter that, you know, we were trying to invest in social programs and services. The question is like, why? Why did they ignore Mount Vernon for so long? And so, why did nothing matter? Well, we're coming back from break. We're going to talk about some of that, but not all of that. We're going to talk about our guest.
With Rich Thomas, the former mayor of Mount Vernon, on 1460 WVOX.
Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. You're listening to WVOX, a Whitney Global Media station. My name is Rich Thomas. You're listening to What Happened Here, where we ask the question of what happened with the situation. We ask that question every Wednesday at 12 p.m. noon on 1460 on your AM dial or worldwide at WVOX.com or streaming live on Instagram and YouTube and Facebook on my social media pages. You can find them at Mayor Richard Thomas or Rich W. Thomas on Instagram. Today, our guest is Michelle Beck. She is a writer, director, producer, actress, mentor, inspiring figure with the work that she is doing with the Epic Theater Ensemble. We're going to talk to her about who she is in a moment and what inspired her to want to give back to young people that are trying to find their way and find their voice. If you have questions, I recommend that you write them down, but you can call in at 914-636 0110. Again, it's 914-636-0110, because at some point in the show, we're going to ask Michelle Beck about one of her projects that she's working on. It's on HBO and HBO Max. It's screening. It's called The Snakes. It's about a world without Roe v. Wade. And as you know, that's an important topic to many communities across the country. But Michelle Beck, please, can you share with us who is Michelle Beck and how did she decide to get involved with the Epic Theater Ensemble?
Yeah, so I've worked with Epic for about 6-7 years now, and I was acting in a lot of Broadway, off-Broadway TV shows, things like that, and I actually did a professional theater production with Epic. They produced professional plays off-Broadway as well. I was Isabella in Measure for Measure, which was a Shakespeare play, and
The world's a stage.
yes, exactly. And through that process, Epic has a really interesting rehearsal model where they would bring the actors into schools, into high school classrooms, and we would rehearse our scenes with the students. And the students were able to give feedback on the scene, on the story, and on the storytelling of it. And some of those choices ended up being in the production, and I just thought that was such a wonderful way to empower young people and engage them in classical text and let them feel a sense of ownership over their own artistry. I was so intrigued that I fell in love with the organization, and I've been working with them ever since. And now I'm their new director of film.
Wow. And these kids, Title I schools, underserved, you're talking, many of them come from homes with some serious challenges from work. Some may even face homelessness, may face issues with addiction and abuse. Can you tell us a little bit about who are these kids and what happens to them when they come into a session with someone like a professional like yourself or one of your colleagues? How do they respond? What do they do?
Yeah, absolutely. So something that's really great about Epic is that the schools in which they have partnerships, they work with every student, for example, in the ninth grade. So they go to their ninth grade English classes, ELA classes, and sometimes history classes, and some for science classes. There are different residencies that Epic has, and basically works with every student. And then throughout that student's journey through high school, they become more involved in Epic, and it's amazing to really see, a kid that maybe started out like in the back of the class in ninth grade and, was like, oh, I don't care about the arts or, what is that going to do for me? And to see them become an agent for social change is really incredible. The different levels or the different programs that EBEC has. They have in-school programming, after-school programming. There's a summer program that goes on, and in that summer program, students create plays and films around social justice issues, end up touring around the country. They tour internationally. These students have been able to really engage policymakers as well. They performed up in Albany. They perform on a variety of topics, especially around educational equity. And it's really amazing to see like the very people who speak on policy in particular that it affects, to see them speaking up about it and being able to weigh in on issues that maybe are far away for some of the people who are creating policy.
And you mentioned the word equity, and
Mhm.
you rightfully pointed out that some of these politicians are just completely disconnected. I would go a step further and just say they're brain dead, but that's just me. But our young people are our future, and I always work to go out of my way to help them reach their dreams. And I always applaud people like yourself that get involved with programs like this, especially with other wise elders like Denzel Washington and Felicia Rashad, how they've gotten involved with arts for young people. Funding, equity. It just always seems like programs like this get the short end of the stick. And I'm just curious about, what types of funding challenges does Epic, face, and what could, be done to help make sure that the Epic Theater Ensemble remains properly funded.
Yeah, that's a really great question. I'm not sure that I have a great answer for it, other than yes, it definitely is challenging to to raise funds. There are national grants that we access. Right now, there's a really exciting um, partnership happening with the Department of Education. We created a piece called Creation of the Nation. So it's inspired by the 1519 Project. It's student written and developed film that explores the impact the legacy of slavery has in the U.S. today. And it's going to be at the center of citywide professional development sessions, with teachers
Hmm.
looking to create spaces and curriculum that are more culturally responsive.
Well, I tell you what, you guys don't change that dial, because we know that the funds are available to help programs like Epic, but don't change that dial, because there's going to be an epic conversation about what we're going to do when we ask what happened here. Don't change that dial. Yeah, grants programs are always good. We definitely need, more support for the arts, as you all know, because the arts are, incredibly important. And I can only tell you that the work being done by organizations like Epic, the work being done by the Denzel Washington School for the Arts in Mount Vernon, produce real, just the words are like escaping me. It's like it's so it produced real, genuine, authentic, prepared young people to take on the world and the challenges that are out there. I mean, it's a great um, example of the products that our school district can produce when you wake up the minds and the hearts of people that find their voice and their talent, and connect with the craft that they can really make a life out of. So the arts is something that I firmly believe in, and Dr. Evelyn Collins, she's doing a great job in Mount Vernon. They have a 100% graduation rate. As many of you know, my nephew went there. Um, and the safety situation in Mount Vernon deteriorated so bad since I left office. But he was a victim of illegal gun violence in the city, and I just can't express how frustrated I am about that situation and the fact that he was shot. Both of my nephews were shot, and nothing's been happening to hold the people accountable that they know were involved. But nonetheless, I just say that the arts and sports are two avenues for young people to take to develop better character, moral compass, and find their way through life. And thankfully, my nephew, who's musically talented, is still able to share his talents with the world. And I'm really, really, really grateful to the team at Jacoby Medical Center for saving his life and my other nephew's life for everything that they've done to keep them going ahead. But I just know that programs like Epic and Michelle Beck, um, you're right. Entrepreneurship is a huge component of entrepreneurship with the arts. Um, anyway, I just want to keep you, make sure you know that there's so much to teach our kids, and we're going to get into some of those questions when we get back from break, and ask Michelle Beck about her outlook on why programs like this are important and why is it important for her group to even participate in the 1519 project and how did that come about. So we need to ask more questions, and if you have questions that you want to ask her, you can send them to me on Instagram or on YouTube and Facebook, or you can call into the show at 914-636-0110. That's 914-636-0110. And we have a great guest on the line, Michelle Beck. I know you all want to connect with her. She's a powerful voice, a powerful figure, and watch. She's gonna do some great things, you know, with her cinema. So just stay tuned. And I'm seeing news that CNN's Jeff Zucker resigns. I'm trying to figure out like what's going on. That threw me off earlier. I may mention that at the top of the line, at the top of the hour. I mean, top of the next segment. Wow, I didn't expect that. I didn't expect that.
On Friday.
Like, wait a minute, what happened? This guy withstood everything.
By the later afternoon.
Anyway, here we go.
Temperatures will fall back into the upper 20s by the later evening hours. Looks like mostly sunny skies on Saturday. Saturday's highs climbing close to 30, mostly sunny middle 30s on Sunday. See Pilot Area Junior reporting 1460 WVOX, a Whitney Global Media Station.
Everything you need to get started in the morning.
Every morning.
Good morning, Westchester, with Dennis and Tommy. Weekday mornings from 6 to 9, right here on 1460 WVOX.
1460 And now back to What Happened Here with Rich Thomas, the former mayor of Mount Vernon, on 1460 WVOX.
Joe Rogan. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. My name is Rich Thomas. You're listening to a WVOX Global Media Station. The name of our show is What Happened Here. We ask a question of what happened so you can figure out what to do next and make sure it either does not happen again or we do it better. Now, you're listening to 1460 on your AM dial or worldwide at WVOX.com, on Instagram at Rich W. Thomas, and on Facebook and YouTube at Mayor Richard Thomas. Our guest is Michelle Beck. She is a writer, producer, actor. She is a mentor, someone that is truly making a difference in our communities, not just on television and cinema, but also in the classroom. She's helping young people find their way through life by giving back. Now, there are a fair share of A-listers from Mount Vernon, and one of those A-listers that gives back is Denzel Washington, and he credits the Boys and Girls Club for his rise, and also he lent his name and his effort and energy to the Denzel Washington School of the Arts, and this is something that the school achieved 100% graduation rate. Big shout out to Dr. Evelyn Collins for achieving such a huge feat, and also you got Felicia Rashad, who lent her name and her power to the same school. With the auditorium being named after her. And again, someone like Michelle Beck, who's worked with these legends, these icons, has seen firsthand how arts can transform the lives of young people. Michelle Beck. Is that right? Does the arts, the Epic Theater Ensemble, is that what you're in the business to do, of transforming the lives of young people?
Oh, absolutely. Epic's mission is really to create bold work with and for diverse communities that promotes vital discourse and social change. At Epic shows, there's a talk back after every performance, and it's an opportunity to invite dialogue, discourse, discussion between the community and the artist.
Can you tell me about, how are the shows selected? Can you tell us about, how are they're put together? Do you have a writing session? Who leads that writing session? Are there auditions? Who auditions? Who runs the audition? Like, is this like your typical high school talent show, or is this like a real deal, Broadway production?
I think is neither of those actually. It's a little bit different. I feel like the structure of Broadway is more about there's a singular writer, singular director,
Mhm.
the actors audition for it, and they're just like the power structure is different than it is at Epic. And I feel like a typical high school talent, production that you're mentioning is, a really sort of hindering to, it's like it's more just for fun. But this is really, it's different. The students are treated very professionally, and they're really the artists that are at the core of the work. So typically,
Mhm.
what happens during the summer program is there is some sort of theme. We have people who commission the pieces as well from various organizations, whether they're arts organizations, social justice organizations, sometimes they're individuals, and
Mhm.
they commission a topic. So, for example, there was a topic a couple years ago that was about policing in schools. And so there were several pieces made around that topic. And so what happens is the students come in, they of course receive training through classes and stuff, but then once it comes time to build the piece, it's very collaborative, it's very devised. They do interviews with specialists in these areas, and then from those interviews, they build their script. It's really amazing. And then, they have their touring shows, the students are paid when they perform. It's
Students are
definitely,
paid. That is dope.
yeah, yeah, it is amazing.
So, wait a minute. I got to go back and just quickly recap. So, you mean to tell me that, there's a saying that art imitates life. I mean,
Mhm.
this what you just explained really truly gives, a whole new explanation behind that saying. I mean, you have young people not only getting paid to perform and be a part of, an important conversation, but they are driving the conversation. And I got a question online about NFTs. Are you guys going to get into NFT art, the non-fungible tokens and stuff like that? That's a whole new genre of art and ownership that's gonna, that's unfolding right now.
I am not entirely sure what that is, if I'm being honest. Probably our executive director knows more about that. But I will Google that.
Okay, well, we'll hold that. That's something that it's a hot topic. It's new. It's coming. But I can say that
Amazing.
what I find amazing is how the approach seems to challenge the young people to ask the question, do the
Mhm.
research, and hold the discussion. Now, do they hold the discussion, in isolation, or do they invite their classmates and other people from the community to participate?
Oh, no, no, no. It's absolutely, many of our performances are, they're all free, they're open to the public. Um, there are performances that happen in their own schools, in other schools, but there are performances that happen for the communities that they travel to. There are performances that are for policymakers. There are performances for teachers specifically. So there are a lot of different communities that Epic students perform for.
And in terms of policymakers, when you engage them, is this like you guys pick the same topic to talk to them about, or do the topics change with the times? Because I can only imagine that, with policing, that must be a continuing conversation. It's very important. But what about, the types of foods? Is food policy ever come up? I know it's not completely connected to, the mission of arts, but agriculture is another, big component because what you put into your body, your temple, is very important. And sometimes school lunches have mystery meat, and I can only imagine that it's important for young people to kind of ask the policymakers questions about that. But any other questions come up to the policymakers that you have found to be important, or something that you want to share with the audience here?
Um, there's a wide variety of topics that lots of various pieces have been developed around. I don't think there's anything that's been made around food policy that's really interesting. And if you would like to commission a piece this summer, I'm sure the students would be really excited to take that on. Uh, but really, EPIC is about like helping young people dismantle systemic racism and looking at how that affects the various systems function in our country. Um, you can read more about our process as well as join EPIC for a free online event that's going to celebrate the launch of Citizen Artists, a new book about EPIC's internationally recognized arts youth leadership program. The evening will feature a conversation with author and co-founder James Waller, and there'll be performances by our youth leaders. You can get free tickets at epictheaterensemble.org. That's EPICtheaterensemble.org.
Yeah.
It's going to be a really great event. That's going to be Wednesday, February 16th at 6:30 Eastern.
Yes.
Really, I think it's a really excellent example of an EPIC event where there are going to be performances, there's going to be a discussion, and it's really a chance to see the amazing work that we're doing at EPIC.
Now, we hear the call down for the break, but before you go, do you have time to stick around just to tell a little bit about what you're doing on HBO Max and what's screening?
Well, yeah.
Don't change that dial. And check out epic.org, Epic, which is online right now. Take care. Hold on. Don't change that dial. All right, y'all. So we're going to talk to Michelle Beck a little bit about her professional career and what's going on, and make sure you check out Epic Theater Ensemble. It's a phenomenal place. I see the Fuller Center. What's up, Fuller? You still wearing those shorts, Jim? I tried you last week when it was like 10 degrees outside. I want to know if you were still wearing shorts. Oh man, there's no sound on which video? Uh-oh. Well, we'll have to deal with it.
Is to reassure allies of the United States' commitment to their defense.
I'm guessing, is there no sound on, I got a note that there's no sound. I think on Instagram you guys definitely have sound. But if there's no sound on YouTube and Facebook, that's a problem because I'm seeing the sound level say that the sound is on.
Answer moonshot. Moonshot was first initiated in 2016 when the president was vice president, an issue deeply personal after
But
the death of his eldest son, Bo.
I'm looking at the breaking news that Jeff Zucker resigned from, thanks. I'm looking at,
agencies with the goal of improving treatment, reducing out-of-pocket costs.
I'm looking at the news that Jeff Zucker resigned from CNN. What is that about? Anybody can tell me about that? That kind of caught me by surprise. Yeah, it seems that something happened with Jeff Zucker. I don't know what's going on. Wow, that's all I can say. Whoopi's next. Oh man, look, there's gonna be this cancel culture is real, but when you make real dumb comments, you definitely deserve to be held accountable. And, especially when you do dumb things. But I just think that there's a whole lot going on, and I think you mentioned Joe Rogan. like, I don't know, Spotify seems to be dealing with an issue of fairness where they just don't seem to be being fair to a lot of different folks. Thanks. I got a word that sounded back. Great. But I think Spotify needs to address it head on and just do the disclosures like everybody else and just move on. But it could also be an issue of pay where some of the artists want some money and they're using this as a platform to try and renegotiate their deals. But I do think that the lawsuit by the NFL coach from the Miami Dolphins um, is very telling and very, interesting. Um, he's making some accusations that based on what he's experiencing went through, hopefully it sparks some change. And I can tell you that, I'm concerned that, if what he says is true about how he's been offered money to lose games and throw games, that's a real violation of trust between the fans, players, and even the markets that are now betting on these games. So it's like, if you think of the implications behind that one accusation, I'll pay you to lose, and that knowledge gets out, it's people can really profit off of those losses by gaming the spreads, and that's something that I do think is important to reflect on, because that goes beyond racism. That's just, sports is supposed to be a level playing field. They're not supposed to have, these, you know, rigged events, and I know a lot of people are given, right, I was about to go there to the elections. A lot of people are giving grief to President Trump about him calling the election rigged. I know that the election I participated in June of 2019, it was rigged. The voting machines were tampered with. Ballots, 4,000 ballots disappeared. The whole voter registration system was scrambled, and I got all the files to demonstrate that. And I did demonstrate that, but other circumstances kicked in, and that information was suppressed and never saw the complete light of day. But look at the results of Mount Vernon. They want to control Mount Vernon again for the obvious reason you saw. They wanted to control the money to do whatever they wanted with it. And look, 170 million was spent without any authorization whatsoever, and nobody's been held accountable when they were supposed to be held accountable. Instead, they attacked the messengers, they attacked the people that were trying to do the right thing, me included. And that's how power systems respond. Power systems, fight to preserve their power and stop those from doing, what they need to do to hold power in check. All right, here we go, guys. Final chapter, final segment.
Thomas.
Talking with Michelle Beck. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. My name is Rich Thomas. You're listening to WVOX, a Whitney Global Media station. The name of our show is What Happened Here. We are here every Wednesday at noon. You're listening to 1460 on your AM dial or worldwide at WVOX.com. Also streaming on social media on Instagram at Rich W. Thomas and on Facebook and YouTube at Mayor Richard Thomas. The phone number to call in is 914-636-0110. Now, we have a guest, Michelle Beck. She's been talking about the Epic Theater Ensemble. They have an event coming up on February 16th. It's the book launch and release, a discussion on the topic of citizen artists. It's by the founder of Epic Theater, James Wallet, and you can go to their website to check out and get more information. But on the line, we have Michelle Beck, who is someone that's given back very much the same way Denzel Washington is giving back to Mount Vernon. She made a choice that she wants to be involved in a group that is making a difference in the lives of young people. Meanwhile, here's a person that has some great bona fides on her resume. I mean, if you go to her Wikipedia page, you can see that her career is just, it's booming. From Spinning into Butler, Death of a Prince, The Third Option, Sam and Julia, Madam Secretary, Homeland, I love that show. Claus, Marvel's Luke Cage. Now, come on, y'all. We got somebody that's screening right now on HBO and HBO Max, a film called The Snakes. I got a chance to see the preview, and it talks about life in a post Roe v. Wade world. Maybe that might be a discussion for Epic Theater Ensemble one day. But Michelle Beck, before we take a caller with the question, if you can just tell us a little bit about, some of your, the stuff you're working on now, and what, how does that contribute to the conversation that will most likely be held on at the Supreme Court soon?
Hmm. Yes. So, as you mentioned, The Snakes is set in an alternate future where Roe v. Wade has been overturned. Erica, a depressed Black woman, she witnesses the prelude to a sexual assault. After this, she skillfully joins the neighborhood watch group, and she deals with the culture of fear and microaggressions that surround her by channeling her rage into violent fantasies.
You see, everybody, y'all gotta follow this. Michelle Beck is tapping into, that voice in the back of your head that says, you know what? We're not gonna say what that voice says, but if you can tell us a little bit more about the other projects that you're working on, Romeo and Juliet, because I know we have a caller, but I just want people to know, like, the diverse nature and the breadth of artistry that Miss Beck is, sharing with us is something that we all have to cherish. And I hope that, the callers, we have a call on the line, follow Michelle Beck, find her online because she's definitely, creating some great cinema for us all to consume.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Yeah, so it's interesting because The Snakes is also a very epic ensemble, even though it's not necessarily produced by Epic. All of the actors are Epic artists. Cara Patterson, who is on Disney's Turner and Hooch. There's Jacob Ming Trent, who's on Watchmen and White Famous. James Waller, who is the co-artistic director and co-founder of Epic Theater Ensemble. Nalaja Sun, who's on Madam Secretary. Stacey Sargent, who's on For Real Virgin. Teresa O'Neill. It's really amazing. All of the actors are Epic artists, which really is just a testament to the organization, like how the high quality artists that are involved. So Epic did produce, we produced a short film, a 40-minute film of Romeo and Juliet. It is original text, so it is Shakespeare's original text, and it's set in the Bronx. So the cast is all Black and brown students, and it really taps into the heat of a Bronx summer where tensions kind of can get out of control. The students, the young people who are in the film are all Epic alums or current students. Our Romeo, very sweetly, he started Juilliard literally the day after we finished shooting. And our Juliet is currently at City Purchase. Our Mercutio is currently at NYU grad. A really, really fantastic ensemble of young people. And a very
And so before we bring the caller on and ask, a question, can you just share with us how people can find you online? You have a website or social media tag so people can follow your ascendance?
my website and social media tag is This Is Michelle Beck. My website is thisismichellebeck.com. And then my Instagram handle is This Is Michelle Beck. I don't do Twitter and TikTok and all those other things. I just do Instagram.
Yeah, we all have our lanes, and I try to stay in mine too. I mean, TikTok is just a little too advanced for me, but
That's bad.
yeah, that's a little much. But we gonna stick with the traditional forms that we're used to and evolve with. But caller, we have a call on the line. Caller, you're on, and it's my guy Vince. Vince, talk to us, Vince.
You will very much enjoying your show again, Mr. Mayor. Of course, your takeaway from Mount Vernon was spot on. I hope something real happens with all this. But just one of the questions that I just want to pose out there to your guests and also to the viewers. If Roe v. Wade, the 73 case, is ruled unconstitutional and is abandoned by the court, do you know what happens in New York? Absolutely nothing. Nothing happens. Nothing changes. The state of New York has perhaps one of the correct word is aggressive abortion laws in the United States, where if a woman who is perfectly physically healthy is carrying a child that is perfectly physically healthy, can go to some medical provider, even up almost to birth, and get an abortion if they say my health is at stake. We had a lot of talk about Whoopi Goldberg and the Holocaust. We're having a Holocaust here in our own country. Once we dehumanize life, as was done in Hitler's Germany, anything is possible. I understand the convenience, and I understand all the arguments, and there are many. But once we step away as a society from looking at what life is as the prime motivator of our existence, we're in trouble. But for New Yorkers, Roe v. Wade means nothing.
Well, I could tell you right now, as a father, as someone that has two young children, I believe in life, and I think that this conversation about Roe v. Wade and abortion is definitely going to continue to play out. And in the context of The Snakes, which is screening on HBO and HBO Max, it kind of explores that. It doesn't kind of it explores the world of what it could be like for some people that have different encounters in different situations. And I know that the director of this film in the director debut tries to capture some of that tension that's there and explains the consequences of what could happen in this alternative future. But in New York, we'll see what happens with New York.
Nothing of that. Not a thing.
Well, we will definitely see. I just know that I believe people should be more responsible for sure, and I think that there's a way to achieve that responsibility through organizations like Epic, and
The
and
only
I
thing that'll happen is Planned Parenthood in New York will get richer. Like
well.
coming here from Alabama.
Well, you see, these are the topics and the discussions that we have to have. And I think our guest, Michelle Beck, who is a very, very, very talented person that's given back to the community with her work at the Epic Theater Ensemble. Find them online. This was What Happened Here with former Mayor Rich Thomas. We'll see you next week, Wednesday. Can you bring Michelle? Can you bring Michelle back on the line real quick? Or did she hang up? Oh, she hung up? Oh, okay. Yeah. Take care, guys.
New York State's